What's good?
What up, everybody?
Hey, we're trying to start this episode off Young, Gifted, and Black. We got our brother here, Emeka, good friend of ours, somebody who has been an encouragement to me every single time I've seen him, every single time I've been around him. This guy has a smiling face on, and I'm just like, how do you still have a smiling face on after all the stuff that you've been through? Plus, I just really want to figure out who is really Emeka after all these days.
He wears a lot of hats, man.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
I do wear a lot of hats.
you wear a lot of hats, man, but we're proud to have you on the show, man.
Sweet.
You're an inspiration to not just the two of us, but to the many kids that you've talked with and connected with. There's been a few times where I've been with you and I've seen your heart and I've seen the things that you do for people that are in your situation and people that, you really have contact with. So just a really good dude, man, a special guy, and someone that if you don't know about him, you need to, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
I want to turn this down so we don't look at it, by the way. So just a little small introduction. Tell us about yourself, Emeka.
I was okay.
Yeah, okay. That was good.
You have to forgive me because I'm just getting over some chest stuff. But
You moving too much, man.
look,
You move more than anybody, bro.
I don't even know where it came from. I just got back from Georgia and it was like congestion. Like, what is that? But
yeah.
So a little bit about myself. So you guys know I moved here in 2007 from Georgia to go to school at Oral Roberts University, where I got to meet you great guys.
Yes. Shout out ORU.
Yeah. After about a year, shout out ORU. ORU wasn't for me.
Shout out.
I left and I was going to school at the community college here. Started playing football for my pro team. First year won a championship and was really looking at what this was going to do for me moving forward.
Yeah.
I was really excited about the opportunities that were coming. My dreams were right in front of me. And in year two, fortunately, in a game in Arkansas, I made a tackle, suffered a spinal cord injury after breaking my neck on the football field, and was paralyzed from my chest down.
Yeah.
And so then, you go through all of the questions and all of the crazy, who am I, what am I going to do, where am I going to go? And it was rough. Like, I would be lying if I told anyone that it was easy, but it was a really rough time, really dark time.
Yeah.
And after a couple of years, I just started to really apply myself into the community. I got involved working at a local youth group, started working out at the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges, and that really helped me get my mindset right because I was around people who were just like myself, had, similar injuries or worse, and they helped me put life in perspective and really started to get my bearings up under myself. And now I'm doing my master's at University of Oklahoma, speaking places, and just figuring the community.
Okay. Stop. In some of those movies where like, they tell a story or they do the scenes or whatever, and then something happens and they go 10 years later, or 10 years before this, 10 years after. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back. Because as I was thinking, as you were talking, I was like, we say all these great things about Emeka and who he is now. I was like, but he wasn't always that way, right? And like sometimes it's like you've made such a 180, spiritually, physically, mentally. You've made such a 180 that like I forget what that person was. But I can say one thing. I will say one thing, bro. Will say one thing. Every time that I came in contact with you, despite what I heard about you, despite what I saw you do, despite what they were talking about you for, like, I never had a bad experience with you. You were always smiling. You were always courteous. And mind you, I remember when you were coming in my room and like damn near having a duck to get in. Yeah. I was like, yo, this boy is massive.
I have no issues with him.
No issue. Yeah. I don't even want it.
Yeah.
But bro, you flashed your smile and you introduced yourself, and I introduced myself, and I was like, oh, like you that stigma. You had the long hair. You know what I mean?
Big black.
You was
dude.
big black. You was big and black. And even for other black people, we get. We feel like. Oh. Like I said,
I ain't finna start another one.
Yeah, probably look real hood, ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? So, and then the crew that you was around was kind of like that too.
So let's go back.
Let's go way back.
Let's go back to those times, because when I came to ORU, I'm coming from living in Macon, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia is not for the faint of heart. It is not, and look, I'm not Mr. Hood and nothing like that. I just grew up in a rough city. And so you come here and you surround yourself with, let's be real. Like, you really have a lot of like.
They not too much to us.
Yeah.
No garden variety.
You do not have the, guard. So let's just say it like that. You do not have brothers there,
Yeah.
And so when I got there, I remember just like, man, the first day, I remember like looking out like, man, ain't nobody here that looks like me. Ain't nobody here that thinks like me, that,
Yeah.
And, that very first day, I'm sitting in my room and I'm contemplating like, dang, am I gonna be a monk now? Like I swear to y'all, I literally had this thought like, dang, I'm about to be a monk. There's worship music, I gotta be a pastor, I don't even like preaching. And I'm lying on my bed and I hear like this Lil Wayne song and I'm like, man, is that in my head? Like, no, it's not in my head.
You having withdrawals.
So I get up and I'm like, man, I'm gonna find this music. So I'm walking around this floor, walk into this room and start rapping this song with this dude that I didn't know. And afterwards, he introduced himself as Josh. I introduced him as Emeka. And
Jay Collins.
Shout out to Josh Collins.
Shout out to Josh Collins.
And from that day, the world was ours, at ORU. But again, it was just good to find someone who was like me, who got my urban jokes, got the fact that I want to chase girls, I want to go have a good time, and so when you're doing that at ORU, that doesn't necessarily get you the best reputation, and and it's almost a telephone game because no one knows me. We didn't know no one knows anyone. You just hearing, hey, there's this new guy.
Not to mention we stick out.
Yes, absolutely. And so I remember when the first time I heard that someone didn't like me, and I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, it was for my first time experiencing hate. Dad, you hating on me? And so by the law of hate, I had to hate back.
Please explain this law. Where can I the law of hate?
My man, I just remember this girl came like, man, hey, so-and-so don't like you. What, for what? Like, I don't know. Like, and it basically had to do with girls, things like that. Like, I'm talking to his girl, or I wasn't even trying to do that. But man, those days at ORU, it was just really crazy because I know that the reputation that our crew had probably wasn't the best one, especially for our ORU. But if everyone else would look at it as like, okay, y'all just kind of having, we didn't do anyone wrong or anything like that. We just like to have a good time. If we drank, drank, and we did any other things, we did them, and they just were frowned upon at ORU. And so that kind of, again, like I said, one person says one thing, another person says another thing, and things just get kind of out of hand. Yeah. But then when you meet someone, it's like, I don't know if what I've heard and what I'm seeing really lines up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so,
because I think the telephone broke when it got to me.
Hey,
they was talking all sorts of craziness. Y'all was out there.
Well, we come back from the weekend, and I hear what happened for the weekend from everyone else, and like, I'm pretty sure we just chilled. Like, where is this story coming from? And it's just people trying to live vicariously through you. You know what I mean? So,
what made you want to come to ORU?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What made me want to come to ORU?
Yeah.
I didn't want to come to ORU. My mom and dad wanted me to come to ORU. So let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you how that happened, though, because it's a crazy story. As to, when I got out of high school, I was going to community college in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play ball, so I looked at different places. I had applied to the University of Georgia, the University of Maryland, University of Alabama, Troy University, and Savannah State University.
Yeah.
And my mom has been talking about Oral Roberts University since like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about it. I just, Oklahoma, I didn't even know nothing about Oklahoma. Like,
Yeah.
the only thing I knew was the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
And I looked up ORU, and it's like, they don't got no football team, I'm not trying to do that. But then when all of my doors started closing,
Yeah.
I still was like, I'm not going through that door.
Yeah.
Like, and even when it came to filling out my application, I did not, I wouldn't lie on my application. I lied about my SAT scores, dropped them, didn't do any of the essays, and my application did not get sent until like July.
Yeah.
And everywhere else that I had applied to is like, hey, you need to get your application for fall in May. There's a deadline, and I'm thinking ORU has a deadline, so I'm like, you know what, if I wait, I'm gonna be good. And so July the 3rd, like the end of July, I swear to you guys, the end of July, I get this application, we send this application. One Sunday, because me and my boys, I would go to church, go play some football outside, then we all go out to eat.
Yeah.
So one Sunday, I get out of church, and I'm on my way to go meet these guys to play football, and I get this phone call from a 918 area code. And I'm like, hello? This dude's like, yeah, congratulations, you've been accepted to ORU. Click. Man, I hung up so fast. And I sat there. He calls back. He's like, yeah, you've been accepted to ORU. And I'm like, man, you got the right person? He's like, yeah, this is Emeka Nnaka, right? And I'm like, yeah, but how can I have been accepted? I literally just put that application in like a couple days ago. It's almost August. Like, he's like, yeah, maybe God wants you here. And speaking of, you need to be next week. And so whatever day we had to be there, the week before is when I got this call.
Wow.
This guy says you have to be at ORU on campus in 7 days or 8 days. And so I'm like dejected almost. Like, I'm supposed to go out here and play ball. I'm just like, what the heck? And they're like, man, what's going on? I'm like, man, I got accepted to ORU. And everybody's like, sweet, that's congratulations. And I'm like, no, y'all don't get it. Like, when I go home and I tell my parents, like, that's it. Like, I'm going. Like, they're not gonna let me skate on this. And so we go out to eat, and I go home, I tell my parents, and they are all about it, and they're basically not gonna let me fly here. They're gonna drop me.
Would you have even applied to ORU had it not been for them? Like, how did you? Okay, so they said just make sure ORU somewhere in the mix. Like
I didn't put my application in. My sister, did all the application stuff. I just went in and changed the SAT scores.
To lower them. And
they sent it.
And they still got, they still chose you. Hey,
chose
man, that's
me.
crazy.
Why even go to ORU? It doesn't have a football team, so I can see that.
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
I was not trying to come to ORU for anything. But then after they said I was accepted, I had basically a week to tell everybody bye. Mm-hmm. And I basically accepted the fact that I was leaving with, pairing it with, it's just time to get out of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Things were just going really crazy, and I didn't hang out with the greatest crowd, and so it was just like, okay, it's only a matter of time before I find myself in the wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, fine, let's do it. And so they drove me 14 hours here. I still remember I remember driving down 81st and seeing this Quick Trip and asking myself, Quick Trip, that sounds like that's a weird gas station. Not to know they finna blow up.
Now they taking over.
And hitting campus, again, like, man, nobody here looks like me. In my room contemplating my future. Lil Wayne stunning like my daddy. Meet Josh Collins.
Yeah.
Rest is history.
That's crazy.
I really wanted to just really figure out who, like you said, who was Emeka before the accident?
And the question is now, it's like, so were you who they said you were at ORU, or were you who you are now? Like, has this always been you,
You
were you that person at ORU?
I'll tell you that I have a heart. I was a man with a big heart, but let me give you a little psychological science, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm in school now for counseling, and so I've studied Erik Erikson, and he has these psychosocial stages of development. And the one in particular that most people gravitate to is the one in adolescence that talks about identity versus role confusion. And so his theory goes is that, as kids we're growing up, we grow up with a certain kind of structure around us. You what your mom has raised you on, what your parents have raised you on, how your house, your community, things like that, school. And this is why when you look at kids in middle school, they're kind of like crazy to you because they don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing because they're going through this stage of development where they're trying to find out who they are for themselves, who they are with their friends, who they are outside of what mom and dad has told them they are. Mm-hmm. And so you will go through this stage for, most of adolescence. And if you don't kind of solidify who you are, you kind of just grow up being a big kid who's searching. We all know people who are just kind of searching.
Yeah. Sure.
And so I would say that based on my history of being raised in my household and living in Nigeria in the time that I lived in Nigeria and coming back and just, not having like brothers and, all of these different factors play a role in my trying to find out my identity. And so, again, as a man, I'm a man of faith, even though I wasn't necessarily Mr. ORU, I know that deep down, Christ is a center for me, but at the same time, I just didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so coming to ORU and
as
being
most people don't.
Yeah, as a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't.
I think we all go through a role confusion versus identity thing in faith, and so that'd be an interesting discussion to have. And so I was when I was getting out of high school, all of the guys that I clicked with were guys that like to kind of hang out, like to be out, like the urban, those were the people that I clicked with.
Yeah.
But I'm a man of the people. I'm a people person.
Yes, you are.
And so I have,
you've always been that.
yeah, I've had a lot of, in high school, it's just like I'm friends with all the different groups. It's just because I value every individual for their differences. I don't value because we're the same. I value because of how different we are.
Yeah. And
so that was always something for me. But with all of that, it was still just kind of like, I'm not trying to be boxed into a box. Like, I'm not just this person, or I'm not just this person. I'm someone that is every single one of these things.
Yeah.
And one thing I just didn't, being young, I just didn't know how to reconcile that and just be, And so when I moved here, and heck, being at ORU, I definitely didn't know how to fit in there. Mm-hmm. I did not know how to be the guy that they wanted you to be. I did not know how to do that, so I didn't try to do that.
Yeah.
And so who I was a rebel. You know what I mean? And so if there's traditional rules, then I'm over here by them, and that's kind of what. Who was I? Was a guy that enjoyed his family, and again, I'm very loyal to my brothers. Like I wasn't raised with brothers, and so my friends are my brothers.
Yeah.
And so I'm a peacemaker. I don't get up emotionally, and so I was just always someone that I will take care of the family in the best way that I can. And when, I've always prided myself on being able to, handle crisis. So I'm a person that if you are in trouble,
That is for sure,
I'm going to calm it down. Like I'm going to, put the fire out, so I don't know if that helped me or hurt me, because that just means that I'm drawn to fires, you know what I mean? So when I got all of my people that are close to me, because I've been around some fire in their life, and it's like, all right, let's calm it down. And so, I don't know, but it's crazy. That's how I could best identify as, like, I don't know, I was a guy that was close to his brothers and everyone else. I mean, I was a man that I'm there for you. I'm never, especially if there's fire in your life, you can count on me to put it out. Like, Man,
that's crazy. And I guess now that I think about it, that question is obvious as to, who you've always been. You would have had to have always been that person to deal with what you went through. Like, that's not something that you just put on and fake because you know what I mean? Like, it's in you to, like you said, you don't operate off of emotion. Like, I see that now. That makes sense. Because anybody that went through the same situation, their emotions would be everywhere. And people would say, he's rightfully so to feel that way for a certain amount of time. Like, and you said earlier, you're like, it was this process of, like, who am I and what do I do now? But, bro, I feel like that was, like, a real quick turnaround. Like, you said, it was like, okay, got that, do that, I'll do that. Okay. And then you shot forward. Like, there was no time in between,
So take us to the process of the game, your hype. I want to hear about what happened beforehand. What was your mental state going into the game before the accident?
Okay, bro, I'll tell you, like, it's so clear as day.
Yeah.
That day was so weird. It was
This
so
is the first
weird.
time you've told this the story. Has he told you this? I've never heard this story in its entirety.
This day was just so weird. We've prepped and we've had away games, home games. It's normal practice. We practiced the day before, walked through. We all decide how we're going to get to the game, whether we're going to ride the bus, we're going to drive ourselves. Because this was in Arkansas, we decided we were going to ride with another teammate of ours, and we were going to go out in Dallas or in Arkansas that weekend. And so the day before, my roommate, who's on my team, loses his bag, can't find it. And turns out that he had left it outside, and one of the neighbors saw it and put it inside of their van and didn't want it to get stolen. But then the next day we're trying to leave for the game, they weren't home. And so now we're trying to leave for the game, we're trying to figure out, like, how are we gonna get this bag? And these dudes, they like, man, let's just break the window. And then
So you saw it in there. You saw the bag in there?
we saw the bag in there.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, man, let's just break the window, we'll pay for it. I'm like, here's a fire, guys. Like, no, chill. Let's put this out. Like, let's not do that. So we have a time that we're supposed to leave to get to the stadium.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, look, let's get a hanger, and we out here trying to.
Can't nobody do that. If you don't got a degree for that, you can't do that.
Bruh, like, then someone walks over and was like, look, I got this brick, bruh.
Back to the breaking the glass.
And we're like, nah, just chill. Just like, look, let us do this thing. And man, we wiggling, and unlock the joint.
Wow.
20 minutes now. It was 20 minutes of just, but unlock
That's
the joint.
crazy.
Get the bag, and the whole drive to Arkansas, I'm just feeling proud that we did not break this window. So we put a note in there like, man,
You so lucky. I would have busted it. Y'all lucky.
we was about to bust the glass, but we did it. Thank you so much for holding the bag. We'll see you when we get back. So we on our way to Arkansas, and again, we're just talking about the game. We're talking about our season. We're talking about just the possibilities that are coming.
Yeah.
3 weeks before that, I got a call from a school in Missouri that a coach had heard about me, and a friend of mine had whispered in his ear about me, and he was like, just get us some film, and we'd be glad to have you come up to our school.
Yeah.
And so getting that phone call was one of the happiest days of my life. I remember just waking up to this voicemail and just feeling like, okay, everything's about to change for me. And I mean, to the point where I'm like, I gotta get fresh, I gotta go to the mall, I gotta be seen. I just felt good.
Yeah.
And so fast forward 3 weeks, we're driving down to Arkansas and we're watching a movie on the inside of the car. And what's crazy is the movie is called When Things Break or something like that. Taraji P. Henson's in it. And in the movie, she's in a car accident and she's paralyzed for like however so months or something like that.
Crazy.
I had blocked. I didn't even remember watching that movie. And then we get to the game and I can't find my jersey. So I'm looking. Or it was either my jersey or my my wallet. Something I'm missing.
Yeah.
So then they are like, all right, we're fine. We got another jersey for you. I remember taking a moment to go out to the bleachers and just lie down and look at the sky. And I'm just looking, just having the moment to myself.
It's like your pregame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I do pregame as well is like I call my mom and we would do Psalms 91 together on the phone every game. But this particular game, mom wasn't available. Like I just didn't know where she was at. So I called Pops. He's like, she's in Texas at some conference. And he's like, have a good game. I go to play the game.
Yeah.
We get into, like we go up like 7-0, 14-0, 21-0. And defense scores, and now we're up 28-0. And so this is second quarter, so we're dominating, so we're all having a good time on the sidelines, you know. And I'm going out there for this kickoff, knowing that it's like, okay, yeah, we killing them. I'm thinking about what we're gonna do afterwards, you know. I'm present, but I'm like, did I really bring the right shoes that I wanted to wear? You know, I'm thinking about this, you know.
Yeah.
And so this kickoff, and I'm like, I love kickoff because I just know how good I was moving. And so ball kicks off.
And what position did you play?
I was a defensive end.
Okay.
So I'm coming down the field and I shed one guy and I see the guy ball carrier. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yes, this is about to be another one. You know? Like, it's another one. So I go and bang, like I hit him and all I can see in my head is like white. And I cannot feel myself falling over, but I can tell in my head that I'm changing directions. So I'm down, and I remember just like opening my eyes and I'm looking up at the sky again, like I was during pregame, and I'm just like, okay, I need a second. And the guys are like, Emeka, you know, let's go. I'm like, I need a second. And this arm is locked up, and I go to take my helmet off with this hand, and I have no control. So it goes up, and it hits my helmet, and I remember thinking to myself, man, that was very weird.
So you can speak.
Oh yeah, I'm completely lucid. I'm completely there.
Yeah.
And so trainers start running out, and they're telling me, don't move. They straighten out my leg, and because of how everything is going, they're able to tell that it's C5, C6, and they're saying things at C5, C6, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. They're kind of, everyone, kneels down. They're frantic, and I thought that I'd had a stinger. I thought maybe, I hit my funny bone, and so that was the reason why I couldn't necessarily feel. That's the reason why I had this tingly feeling. And I remember saying it out loud, like, oh, I just hit my funny bone. I got a stinger, I got a full body stinger, just give me a second. Mm-hmm. And
had you felt something like that before?
I mean, localized, like, I remember making a tackle and having a stinger and it affecting like right here was numb for like 2 weeks.
And what is exactly a stinger?
A stinger is when you pinch a nerve.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't just use it? You just can't use your arm or your limb?
I mean, I could use my arm. The sensation right there was just gone for a little bit. And then it comes once that joint releases, it comes back. You do some therapy on it. common. Stingers are common. And so I'm there lying down. They're screaming C5, C6. I didn't know what it was, and then I, would come to find out that was the level in which I just broke on my neck. And so I guess it became real for me when they were holding my foot up, and I'm looking at my foot, and I'm connecting the dots of okay, that's my foot, but why can't I feel that? Why he's asked me, can you feel this? And I'm like no, but I don't know why. And so, man, if things could not get any worse, 10 minutes in, paralysis is now moving from my legs up into my chest. And so with football, again, you got pads, helmet, face mask, and I just ran down the length of a football field. I'm gassed, and I cannot catch a breath. Where, if you've been in the water, and you've been underwater too long and you come up, the first thing you do is, and that's that one breath that you get, and then you can start breathing normal, and it kind of regulates your body. I could not get a deep for anything. It was just, and your body kind of just follows that. If you start breathing like that right now, your body's gonna jump into anxious mode. And so I'm focusing on my breath and just trying, okay, I need this one, this one, this one. And then I had to stop counting after 100. You just lose count. If you try to count your breaths, you gonna get, give yourself a heart attack. And so, but this is what I'm doing now. So I find myself now in a literal fight for my life on this football field. And go ahead.
They hadn't even, you were on the field and feeling these things?
Oh yeah, because So
they hadn't even gotten you into the ambulance. They hadn't got you to the hospital. None of that.
So we have an ambulance at every one of our games, standard thing. Ironically enough, about 30 minutes before I got hurt, or before our game started, we had a little league game being played, and a kid had an asthma attack. So that ambulance took that kid to a hospital. So when I got hurt, we were waiting for an ambulance to come from, again, the night was crazy, because I remember them calling different hospitals, and hospitals were calling other hospitals hey, we need an ambulance to get to here. An hour and 18 minutes before the ambulance gets there. I'm fighting, again, breathing. And so this whole ordeal, this whole time, they finally reached up to unstrap some chest things. Everyone is kneeling, people are crying, and I'm there asking for cheerleaders.
Really?
I'm like, bro, y'all gotta move. Where the cheerleaders at? So cheerleaders come over.
What?
I had a relationship with some of the cheerleaders. So we just having the time with the cheers, and I'm watching some of these guys. These are grown men. I'm like the youngest person on my team, and I'm watching these grown men around me cry. And I'm like, man, y'all be cool, be cool. But then I'm like, I gotta use words lightly because I can't use too much.
Yeah. And
so, man, I'll tell you another thing that happened that was really hard is when they went back to get my phone out of my bag to call my parents. And I know that it was crazy for my dad to get a phone call from me at the time, because just 30 minutes ago, I just called him, at the beginning of the game and said, I'm about to start this game. No football game ends in 30, 40 minutes. So he's like, why is he calling me?
Yeah.
And then, if you ever, you pick up the phone and it's not your son's voice, panic sets in. It's like, what just happened? And so I'm watching the owner of the team call my dad and tell him, hey, Emeka's been in an accident. He's right here. He's good. We are waiting for an ambulance, yada, yada, yada. And him and my sisters are driving home from somewhere, and that gave me anxiety, because I'm like, I hope they're okay and they're not like panicking right now. And so, so the time goes by, ambulance finally gets there. They strap me up to the stretcher. And again, I'm thinking about all of these other people because now I'm thinking about the crowd because I'm like, they haven't seen me move in an hour and 18 minutes. They don't know if I'm dead, if they just watch someone die on a football field.
Yeah.
And so as a stretcher, as they're trying to get me into the ambulance, I'm trying to wave and let the crowd know I'm gonna be okay. I can't move anything. Wow. I can't get a thumb up, I can't do anything. And so as I'm in the ambulance, they've wired all of this oxygen stuff. It's not helping me at all. I still can't breathe. I'm like a little kid, like, hey, are we there yet? Like, nah, we got like 15 minutes. Are we there yet? Nah, we got like 13 minutes now. All right, we there yet? We got 13 minutes and 2 seconds now. I'm like, all right. And we get to the hospital, they cut everything off, cut my pads off, cut my jersey off, drill my helmet off, cut my socks off.
And you still haven't noticed what really happened yet?
And I just don't, they say that it's a C5, C6 injury. Yeah. I don't know what that means. You broke your neck. Okay. And so.
So at that point, you knew that you broke your neck, though? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so, or I had a neck injury. Mm-hmm. And so they chilled my spine for that evening. And the next day I would go and do a 9-hour neck surgery. Mm-hmm. And so they did tell me that they were going to put in a cage from C4 to C8 to cover up the exposed area. And that was going to be that. And so I remember the next day going in for surgery. My mom, so what's crazy is that my mom was being in Texas. She was able to drive straight up and be here that night that I got hurt.
Did you sleep that night?
I don't remember. Like I do not. I do remember just feeling like I had dirt all over me because all of the sweat had dried and things like that. I just remember feeling like, dang, like I'd just been covered in a pile of dirt. I hardly remember a lot of things from that time because of all the drugs. But what I do remember is going in the day. I remember going in for surgery because I remember praying with my mom, and I remember being scared. Like, man, all right, like, I've never had surgery before. I've never gone in for surgery, so it's like, am I gonna come out of surgery like, hey, love you guys, I love everybody.
Yeah.
So I wake up. I remember waking up and my throat being really sore because of them having the tubes and stuff in there, and then cutting me right here to move my voice box. Wow. To get to the back of my neck. Crazy. And so I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And when I wake up, they've told me that the surgery took 9 hours. And I'm like, shit. Like, I've been under for 9 hours, like, dag. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All of that was open for 9 hours. And so I spent 10 days, man. I spent 10 days in Arkansas, and you'll find this ironic. What I do remember from my time in Arkansas was I remember some Hooters girls that came to visit, and they brought me some chicken. I do remember that. I remember Josh and Kelly and Giles being there. I remember some people that visited from a church up here coming down. Dennis Bird, who was an NFL player who broke his neck, was paralyzed, and ended up walking again. He came down. I remember him coming down.
Wow.
And R.I.P. Dennis Bird. And I remember doing some exercises. Like my first therapeutic exercise was me laying on the table and a therapist telling me to flick my wrist up. And this was the only thing, I couldn't move anything else. And he's like, just start there. And I remember that was the first time that anyone had told me like this is gonna be a journey. Like it's gonna be a hard
Okay,
thing.
so wait, I'm sorry, go back. So when the doctor came in and you had your family there and he says, how does he let you know what you have? What's happened to you?
So what they've informed me is that I have broken my neck, that I have sustained a spinal cord injury because of that, but everyone's body's different. You know what I mean? Like it's an incomplete injury, so there's like a complete and incomplete where your spinal cord is severed. That is not the case. My bone broke and slid right out of my spinal column. And so for them to go in and pick that bone out was just like simple. It was like right there. And so he also informed me that I have spinal stenosis, which is a narrowing of the spinal column, which played a role in my paralysis. Because let's say a normal spinal cord is the length of the spinal cord, or the circumference of the spinal cord is the size of the top of this glass.
Yeah.
You got your spinal cord that runs through it, that has room to grow or to spread if it gets injured, to swell. Mine average is the way the bottom is, a little narrower, so when it swelled, it just, no place to go.
Yeah.
And so that is what damaged my spinal cord all the way down my spinal cord or whatnot. And so we are, again, with science now, everyone's body's different is what the general diagnosis is. I remember not trying to hear anyone come in there saying, like, you're never gonna walk again. Like, if you come with that, you can just turn around and go right back out the room. So when I started the therapy there, I remember them getting me on tilt tables. And so it's a table that I'm lying flat on, and they would tilt you up in different degrees and angles to get me my blood pressure acclimated, because my body is not active functioning the way it usually does. Like, blood is just pooling into my legs, and so I'm just faint because those muscles are not pumping it back up.
Gotcha.
And so they go up in little increments, and they be like, hey, let us know if you're gonna be all right. And I'm like, man, I'm a G, go up. They take me up, I wake up, I'm like, hey, what happened? You passed out. Like, oh, okay. Like, so it was, and that was that that was a battle for like months and trying to get like blood pressure acclimated.
Would you always pass out?
Man, I wouldn't try to let myself pass out, but there are times where it's just like, oh, I'm going. Okay, I'm up. So coming back to Tulsa was crazy because so I spent 10 days in Arkansas in ICU. They brought me back to Tulsa by ambulance. And after 10 days, it's hit all the news circuits. Channel 6, Channel 2, Channel 8, ORU, Nigerian, football player injured in an accident, more to come. And, injured athlete is returning to Tulsa today, yada, yada, yada. And so by the time I came back, it was news everywhere. And I didn't just come back to like I'm getting out of the ambulance and then they put me inside of a hospital room. It was like, I came out and it was like people, like fans and strangers and just people that they brought me through this tunnel. People cheering, got signs.
That was here in Tulsa?
Yeah, and that was mad love. That was like, and it did something to me because it's like, all right, like I got these people on my back, and so I gotta get better for them. And so entered this rehab, the hospital I was stabilizing. I wasn't even rehab yet, but that's where they were doing more of the trying to get my body acclimated, and it was stuff dealing with like constipation because my body is just not, all the pain meds they're putting me on. The neck pain itself was, the most pain I have ever been in my life, because at first I didn't have pain, and then after the surgery, this pain was just brutal.
Yeah.
And so the 3 weeks that I spent in that hospital was like them getting me on a chair flat, and again, like tilting me up to get me to be able to sit down, because I couldn't do therapy if I couldn't sit up. And so after 3 weeks, I finally was able to start holding myself up some. We did little punching exercises. I learned a lot about the body. I did a lot of respiratory treatments because I had to learn how to breathe without having the chest muscles to breathe. So, like again, coughing, talking, learning how to do all of that stuff again was difficult in itself.
What do you mean you couldn't breathe with your?
Like, even now, it's like I can get a deep breath now, but then my chest muscles still weren't developed. It was just like they've gone down, and now I've got to kind of build up what I got left, or what I have to build up what I can. And so I was doing a lot of these breathing treatments and respiratory exercises. And
so do you feel like, I'm sorry, do you feel like now you can get that big breath that you?
Yes,
okay.
I can. But still, like, if you hear me cough, like, I don't have all of the muscles just to get a good, strong cough, especially if I'm like coughing. So what sucks is that if, let's say, water goes down the wrong hole, and I'm like, people don't know.
They're like, hey, all right.
No. People are like, no, oh, he's choking. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Just, like, tears start coming out of my eyes. Like, wait, are you straight? I'm like, I'm good. Like, but I'm good. Like, it's good. Like, yeah. Baby calls for sure. People are like, what was that? I'm like, let me do me. Can I be great? Yes, 3 weeks there, and then I would go on to do rehab. So those 3 weeks in that hospital were really great 3 weeks because I'll tell y'all, I did not know. I was not expecting for my accent to be what it was. Again, I've seen people break their necks and you wear a neck brace for a little bit, you good.
Yeah.
So I expected that fully. Like, I've never broken a bone in my body. And so I'm Superman. I'm going to get out of this hospital. I'm going to get that. I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to go to that school.
Yeah.
And so I'm at the hospital, man. I'm having a good time with the nurses. I'm flirting, like sneaking my dogs in, and we are just living it in the hospital. And from there, we go into therapy, and at that point, I'm like, all right. So now it's time to transition from the fun to like the grind of like, okay, let me hit all this physical stuff because I gotta get back on my feet and start training again.
Yeah.
And so this time, this 2.5 month time was, I even put a restriction on visitors to where it's like, hey, if it's not family or friend, like close friend, like tell them that I'm busy, like I'm grinding.
Yep.
And so morning, getting up, I work with occupational therapists. Afternoon, work with physical therapists. And like this was hard because, they're telling me things that I know that I should be able to do. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to teach me how to brush my teeth and put my shirt on. I've brushed my teeth for 21 years up at that point. I was 21. I sit up. Like, why can't I sit up? You're telling me this, but I should be able to do this. And man, that joint was. That was a lot. That was real frustrating.
Yeah.
That was real frustrating because I was frustrated with I wasn't frustrated with them. I was frustrated with me. I'm dreaming, and in my dreams, I'm running around in the hospital, and then I'm waking up stuck in a bed, and I'm like, okay, what's real and what's not real? So rough times in that hospital. Rough times.
Yeah.
Like, my life didn't change. My life changed whenever they came and said, you are, discharged. Because again, everything up to that point, I was gearing toward the light at the end of the tunnel was getting out of the hospital. Like, once I get out, things are gonna get better. I gotta get out of this place. Mm-hmm. And when they told me that they were ready to let me out of this place, when I looked at my body, I didn't look the way I was supposed to look. I didn't feel the way I was supposed to feel. I wasn't standing. I'm supposed to walk out of the hospital, not be wheeled out of it.
Yep.
And that was a major hit. That was a bigger hit to me than actually getting hurt on the football field. Because this was now like, oh, this is what life is supposed to be like now. And that was the painful part.
Yeah.
Real painful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sip my drink, man.
Wow. So, whenever you got discharged and it set in that possibly this is the way you will be for the rest of your life, how did that affect you moving forward almost? Because now it's just like, all right, hey, you discharged, you can go home now, but you be like, no, I still supposed to be playing. I'm supposed to be going to Missouri to play there now.
Bruh, I'll say, so the whole time being in the hospital, all the people that were coming and all the people that were visiting, that fed me. I'm an extrovert to the 10th degree. I get energized off people. When they let me out of the hospital and I, went to go live at a friend's house for a while, and what's crazy about the whole thing is like when something major like that happens, like any major tragedy, everything, it's like ground zero to a bomb. Like everyone's affected. There's a blowback, and so everyone's life paused. My life, my family's life, my teammates' life, my friends' life. Everything stopped for everyone, and we're all at ground zero at the hospital. But then as time goes on, people got to go back to school, people got to go back to work.
Yep.
And here I was still stuck on stop.
Yeah.
And once that started happening, that is when you start to feel like you are fading into darkness.
Yeah.
People are moving forward. I'm still stuck.
It's like almost like they're forgetting about you a little bit.
Oh, it definitely felt like I had been forgotten.
Yeah.
But not by anyone's fault. Like if you're not in the world, I can't blame. Like it wasn't that I felt like people weren't thinking about me. It was more so I felt like I've dropped off the face of the earth, and so you can't think about me if I'm not there.
Exactly.
And so that's where I struggled. Yeah, that's where I struggled. It's like I am in a dark place, and does my life even mean anything? Like it was so rough to start having those thought processes, but they were just the real deal. Just like, man, like I'm not. This is not what my life is supposed to be like. This is not what I bargained for.
Yeah.
And so I would have the occasional visits. I started making some meeting some people at different therapies and stuff, but it still just wasn't the same. And for 7 months, I was just like searching for something, and that's when I started going to that gym that I told you guys about, the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. And getting there helped me to put life in perspective, because I would meet people that were stroke survivors, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury from gunshots, car accidents. And I now felt like it's not okay for me to I don't need to kind of pity myself. Like I could have any different kind, I could be in any different kind of scenario, billions of different scenarios that my life could be in right now. I'm in the one that I'm in for a reason.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I felt like, I learned a lot about the body being in the hospital. And so it was like, if I broke my neck a level higher, I can't use my hands the way I use them. A level lower, and I get my hands. But I was just thankful where I was at, because I'm like, all right, I can let me start doing something.
Yeah.
So working out really helped. I'll tell you, just working out really helped. And then just knowing that, I had a friend of mine who, he knew that I was good with kids. And so he worked at a youth group, and he told me to come and visit and just hang out. And so I would go to the office and hang out for a bit. And there we would, I met some kids and taught some kids and realized that I still had something to give. And started trying to build on these little bitty wins. It's like, okay, go where you're, appreciated. So like, if those kids are listening to you, go back. Like, you feel good, they feel good, just do something. And it'll just, it's taking step by step by step. It's crazy because Chinese proverb says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And the thing is, when you start those steps, you start that journey, you get so far at one point, you look back and it's like, whoa, how did I get this far?
Yeah.
And just like step by step. Like, that's what I feel like. That's how I feel now. It's like, I look back and I'm just like, wow, I have come a long way. Because I went through where I was going to, people that, I went to my boys, y'all's graduations. And then I went to the next, people after us, their graduations. And then the next people's graduations, the next people's graduations. It's like, at one point, graduations used to inspire me.
Yeah.
And then they started to just really get me down. Like, dang, like, when is it gonna be my turn?
Yeah.
Like, when am I gonna, and so, not knowing, that's that feeling of like, man, people are just separating, like, are leaving me right now.
And I always just wonder, like, how did your identity change from before to after? Because I'm always just thinking, like, man, if what's happened to you happened to me, I'm just like, I don't know if I'll be as strong as you. Like, you might see me as a very, very positive person, but I was scared to even lose a tooth. And whenever I broke my tooth, I remember just being scared, like my whole life was over with. Like, somehow going to the dentist's office to get surgery for that, I was just like, my lips exploded, like my bottom teeth were gone. I was just like, life is not the same anymore. My life is over with. I'm not getting no more girls anymore. Like, so I always think, like, man, what if I don't have any legs to move around? What if I can't walk around and do the stuff that I want to get done just like in an instant?
Bro, I'll tell you that I think that every individual has a measure of strength in them that we can develop, and that sometimes we just don't know how strong we are until you're tested.
Yeah.
A lot, dogs don't really know how to swim until they're thrown into the water. A lot with people, like, you get into that water.
Babies too.
Yeah, like, you get into the water, you start flapping around. And I feel like for 3 years, I just kind of flapped around to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And finally started to hit, some, like, okay, if I do this motion, that's going to get me to move a little bit forward.
Yeah.
Dude, so let me tell you again, like, to go back to that psychosocial development stage. So after my accident, really what that did was it revealed a lot of things, because I did not know who I was. And so at that time, who I was a football player. I was a party guy. I was a lot of things that were now stripped away from me.
Yeah.
And so I had to really do the work of finding out what my identity was and not what my image was. There's a big difference between identity and image. Yeah. And we do, what sucks about this world that we live in now is that there's a lot of focus that's put on image when it comes to your Facebook, your Instagram, your Snapchat. We live life through filters. Nobody wants to put up the hashtag no filter. Nobody wants to show us the unfiltered life. Let me see what it's like when you go home. Let me see what your attitude is like when you get punched in the mouth. Let me see that. And here I was in a place where I didn't want to see that, but now I had to. Like, it's a lonely enough place when you feel like there's no one around you. It is a new level of lonely when you don't even like the person that you see in the mirror. And so I did not like who I was as a person up until that time, because my values were all out of sorts. And it's not because of what I did. It's just that if what I am doing has no real, if I have no anchor, then it's just like rocking like you're just burning energy for no reason. Like, so when I talk to people now, I'm like, it's not about what you do, but more so like why you do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you are doing, like for me, at one point in my time, I was doing things because other people were doing it. I was doing things because that's what I saw on TV, because I thought that's what was validating me, because that's what, quote unquote, the societal pressures were putting on me.
Yeah, living somebody else's dream.
Yeah, basically. Like, and that's when I realized, like, okay, I just want to be me. I just want to be me. And so when I started to work with the youth, that was when it was like, okay, I know that I've got stuff to offer, but I don't want to sugarcoat. Like, I don't want you to think of me as someone that is like without problems. Let me be real with you. Like, I got issues, and I am telling you what not to do from experience. I'm not telling you what not to do because that's the right thing to do. I'm not telling you, in fact, I'm not even telling you not to do certain things. I'm just telling you these are some of the consequences, these are some of the experiences I've had. Yeah. And that was the beginning of me starting to become a little bit more genuine with my own self, where it's like, okay, I'm not hiding anything. I'm just, I'm putting it out there as like, hey, this is who I am, take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. And for me, I have lived my life as such a, see, this is gonna sound bad, but like a chameleon. A chameleon, I wonder what a chameleon felt like when he went one place and his color changed. And then he went to another place and his color changed. And then he went to another place and his color changed. And I bet for the beginning of his life, I'm like, man, you fake. Like, you change your colors when you fake. And it's like, man, I'm not trying to be fake. I just, look, I like this. I like this. I like this. And then he finally got there. You're just a chameleon. Like that's what you do. You can change. You can adapt to different situations. Yeah. When I realized that I did not have to just be this Mecca or this Mecca, like, I started to really just embrace all of the aspects that made me me. Mm-hmm. Like, I am a African American who, lives in the Midwest in conservative USA, who has liberal beliefs, who likes rap music, who likes country music, who likes pop music, who could sing a sing-off with any NSYNC or Backstreet Boys song there is, who likes to paint, likes to talk to kids, likes to talk to old people, who likes to be outdoors, who likes to be inside, who likes to watch movies, who cusses. Like, yeah. These are all parts of me, and when I stopped trying to live, under labels is when I started to really embrace my own identity. It's like, all right, I'm a little atypical, but everyone's a little atypical, you know what I mean? Like, we all gotta stop trying to be what the world wants us to be. Like, I heard someone say, life is like Tetris. The second you fit in, you disappear. Mm-hmm. So I'm just atypical. Yeah. That's what helped me.
And going back to your chameleon, so it's basically like, hey, in one area you blue. Are you blue for the rest of your life? But he's like, goes over here and he's like, no, I'm green over here. Yeah. And now I'm red over here. And we be like, which one are you? He can be all of them.
Well, right, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm not this or that or that. I'm me. Yeah. Like, I am me. I'm not fake. I'm genuinely, like, I think what becomes fake about it is when you are like, oh, I'm blue. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm blue. Like, hey, I'm green. I'm green in Russia. Like, no, I'm trying to tell you that I'm a rainbow. Like, I'm everything. Like, that's what it is. Chameleon gets a bad rap, but I'm holding it down for chameleons right now.
Team Chameleon. Hashtag
chameleon that baby.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to take up too much, but you got any questions? Because I can keep rolling all day.
No, man. I mean, it's always been interesting for me to see you from, And I wasn't around, and we weren't as close during the accident. But I felt like that first time I did see you, it was just like, okay, you know, how do you, and I guess enough people have seen you around, and at this point you're comfortable with them. But like my first time was just like, you know, okay, how do I approach this person, or what type of support do I give, and you know, so just a question, like when people go through stuff like that, as their friends and family, like what's a tip to give people, because.
So for anyone listening that does not get to, and people that don't see, I'm 6'5", in a huge electric wheelchair. And so that's a great question, because one thing we forget is that when someone is experiencing, say, disability or illness, like that person themselves is adjusting to what's happening. Their friends are adjusting to them adjusting. Their friends are adjusting to them, you know, the relationship. And that person is also adjusting to the way the world views them. So there's a lot of adjustments that's happening, because I can tell you that in that first meeting, in that first seeing you, you know, I'm adjusting as well. So the same questions are probably going through my head, like, dang, how do I even, like social stuff really gave me anxiety, because it's like, okay, how do I approach everyone? Are they gonna go for a handshake? Should I go for a fist bump? What happens? like what happens if they stick their hand out and I stick my fist out? Like, you know, how do I prepare for that? And honestly, it's just go for it. Like, and if all else fails and you don't know, ask. Like, I think that people are too caught up these days with trying to be right all the time, that they either get in a place of analysis paralysis where they don't do anything, where they don't speak to people, or again, because they're wanting to be perfect. And it's like, no, just look, that person probably don't even know either. Like you're about to, like I've got so many different handshakes now with people. Like we all have our own different things. And so I would just suggest that you just ask and just do what you would normally do. That's what this is. Just like, I appreciate when people, you know, just either give me a hug or just give me a fist bump or hand, like, and I don't even initiate it. It's like, oh, okay, like you had every intention of just treating me like you would have before, like, which is good. So it's just approaching.
So just treat me like you.
Yeah, like just don't see,
beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't see the injury.
Don't make it too big, because we.
Yeah.
Like we that's what we do. We make look. It's not that deep, fam. It's not. Like, it's not that deep.
And you can't blame anybody for feeling like that, because this person now literally can't walk anymore. Like, do something that's so natural to, look, you know, and you take it on like that, and it's
like it's ours.
Like it's ours. Like it's ours.
I had to learn to, like, how do I greet people? Like, I was so used to being the tall, like, I pick you up, And I was like, dang, like, y'all up there. Like, okay, how do I do this? But I was like, just bring it in, come here. And so it's all an adjustment, man. It's all an adjustment.
All right. I'm going to try to segue this into.
I was going to say, hold on, I was going to say
Right,
one more thing, and you had said it, you had talked about it earlier, just as far as sometimes, you know, we like to put a facade out sometimes. And it's not because we're trying to appear fake necessarily. It's just we like to think that we operate with some sort of anchor. That's what you were talking about an anchor. And it's funny, man, we can always talk about that. We can always say that we're anchored in our faith, or we're anchored by our family, or we're anchored by the love of our job, the passion that we have with our job. But when something comes to take that away, when something comes to unanchor you almost, up until that point, you don't know how you will react. And in my life here, these last few weeks and months, like, I've been tested in certain areas. And there's been certain areas where I've anchored down, and there's been other areas where I've been unanchored. And it really causes you to look at yourself. And it really causes you to be real and honest with yourself and be like, yo, you said you were these things, but you're only these things when you don't have to face anything that comes up to unanchor you.
Yeah.
And when those things happen and you feel like you're less than what you thought you were, it's a real impact to your self-confidence, your self-esteem, what you may have done to that other person that was involved. You know what I mean? Because these things that unanchor you, they don't just unanchor you, like you said. Like, it doesn't just hit you. Like, it affects everybody. Yeah. It affects everybody. And in my personal life now, I'm trying to not necessarily tear that facade down. I mean, because I do aspire to be that person one day. So it's not necessarily a facade, but it's more so you now realize that you're not there yet and you got so much farther to go. So it's just, I'm learning that in my own personal life. Like, you were tested something even far greater than what I'm going through, or that what a lot of people go through.
Let me stop you right there and say this. Like, so when people are talking, a lot of people say that, where it's, they'll use that phrase like, even though I've gone through like a greater, like, the thing is this, pain is pain.
Yeah.
And so what I've gone through, what you're going through, it's all the same pain. Again, that's when I started, when I say perspective, I realized I stopped asking why a long time ago and started asking how, because I don't get to ask why such and such happened to me when there are people that have had divorces, there are people that have lost children, there are people that have had family members murdered. I've never been through anything like that, you know what I mean? And so, like, how can I ask why? Because that means they get to ask the same, like, no, like, it's just pain is pain. And so I ask how can I use this to, again, better myself, better the people around me. I shift in that regard. To go to what you're saying about the awareness of you not being where necessarily you want to be at, that is key, because self-awareness is the key to success. Mm-hmm. Is the key to beginning to be that person. Because I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in which they're trying to become better people, yet won't acknowledge that they're not good people. It's like, no, you're an asshole. You're like, no, man, I just don't understand why these people think of this of me. It's like, self-awareness. You gotta look inside.
I'm on the right track because I've had that conversation with myself. I've said those exact words to myself.
There you go.
Recently.
Yeah, look.
Quite recently, it's just like, yo, you're a dirtbag. Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you what. When you turn on a GPS, and a GPS to what? Help you get to a certain destination. Mm-hmm. Before you even start your journey, the first thing that pops up on GPS is a blue dot that tells you exactly where you are. You cannot know where you are going if you do not know where you are. Mm-hmm. And so you look in and it's like, okay, this is where I am. And now you plop in those coordinates and you start the journey. And the greatest thing about that is that you are freeing yourself, because you can make a wrong turn. You can make the odd left because you're still on that journey. When you do that, your GPS doesn't say, oh, you messed up now, it can cancel it. It just says, all right, reroute it. We're gonna get there a different way. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of gives you the hands-free of okay, this is the person that I wanna be. This is the vision. You keep an eye on that, and everything that you do up to that point now moves you toward that. Mm-hmm. And again, if you make a mistake, you dust yourself off and you just get back on the right track. Whether you have to go down and make a U-turn, or you have to take a new road. You just free yourself to do that. So you give yourself credit for knowing that you aren't where you are. Again, it is a continual journey. There is no real destination, but give yourself credit for knowing that, and give yourself slack for not being there, because it's a journey. Every day is a step.
Thank you, bro.
And then the counterpoint on that is that, like you said, the blue dot tells you exactly where you are. If you don't know where you are, you can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
If you be like, oh yeah, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. No, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
All that stuff is gonna help you. Yeah.
Somebody giving me directions is not gonna help me.
Yeah.
Unless I know who I am and where I am at that point.
Yeah.
And being honest with that.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh yeah.
So something you said right there, that's where a lot of people mess up, because they don't want to be honest with themselves.
Right.
They do not want to face themselves and say all right, I'm not as it goes back to the image and identity thing. It's like, okay, I'm not necessarily what my Facebook profile says I am.
Yeah.
I'm not what everyone thinks I am on
But
Instagram.
you know, and that's why it's so important to either be in a relationship with someone or have friends who will audit you. We all listen to Gary Vee, and he always talks about. You listen to him?
Yeah.
Right? And he always talks about. He uses this one example, this one technique. He said, "Listen, go to the people who you most care about, and ask them. Tell me the things. Ask them what are the things that I need to improve on, or not even just that, but who am I and who am I not, and." You know, give them room to be comfortable enough to, I mean, that's why obviously it has to be your closest friends. I need you guys to be real, man. I need you guys to be honest with me and audit me. Tell me everything that I'm good at, tell me everything that I'm not good at. Because sometimes I think we try to do these things, we try to dibble and dabble, but someone on the outside looking in could say, bro, you good at this, or girl, you good at this, you're not good at that. You try, but you're not, or this is something that irritates me about you, and this is the thing that I think irritates a lot of people, so you might want to change that. And it's important for me to, have been in a relationship and have friends who audit me and say, listen, this is what you try to be, but this is really who you are. And I had that recently come up. And it just, again, it's this, wow, like, it's this humbling experience.
It is.
But at the same time, you love and appreciate those people who do that for you. Because a lot of times they're not gonna keep it real with you. Or they don't wanna hurt your feelings. So.
And continue being an asshole.
And you continue to be an asshole. It's like the person who don't tell you got a booger in your nose.
Right,
So like,
and now you just offending everybody.
now you just offending everybody.
Everybody's like, man, is that gonna come out on me or
Gotta
what?
stay away
Like,
from
And then you end up getting mad at that person anyways. Like, bro, why you didn't tell me? You gonna let me out there in the streets like that?
But see, then again, like, and the thing is this, I think another thing you said was like giving them room to tell you that, because if people don't want to tell you that, there's something about you that they feel they can't tell you that. Like you blow up or you make it about them, and people do that. Blame other, okay, I won't tell you. I won't tell you about yourself no more.
Yeah,
Then.
and
You
some
don't
people
wanna
get
hear it.
so offended, by you giving them honest feedback, critiquing them. And they gotta say, well, it's because of this, or it's because of this. And it's like, I'm trying to tell you something to hurt you. I'm not trying to one up you. I'm not trying to get a W on you. I'm telling you something because you're my friend, because I want you to change, and you need to change.
Life is better on the other side.
And life's better on the other side. And if I continue to communicate with you and you always blow up, then I'm just gonna remove myself, But yeah, so I do think it's that level of comfortability that you have with your friends, and like, yo, tell me who I am, tell me who I'm not. And I haven't done that, and that's something that maybe I need to do. That's something maybe we as a group need to do.
Yeah, I think so.
As men, I don't think it's so funny, man. Like we all get caught up in our relationships. We don't have guy time. Maybe you do with your core group, but we don't.
Yeah, this is why I made the podcast. So
But it makes sense,
It does make sense.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Because your girl's like, well, at least you doing something like informative, educational. But anyways, so I mean, so.
Yeah.
We need more of those times to be honest and open with each other and be like, yo, bro, this is what you are, this is what you're not, this is what I like about you, this is what I don't like about you. Maybe it's just my interactions with you, but you should ask somebody else. Yeah. And if it's consistent with what everybody else is saying, then brother, that's you.
Yeah, you got something.
You got some changing to do. And I guarantee in my own life that there would be a bunch of people who would say the same, and we know it. We all know the thing. I mean, to a certain extent.
There's nothing that's gonna surprise you.
Yeah, there wouldn't be anything to surprise you.
You're just gonna either fight it or just hide it.
Yeah.
All right. So I was reading Charlamagne's book, Black
Hey,
Privilege.
real quick, 3 seconds. We're gonna chop these up. I'm gonna edit all this, but we're gonna chop these joints up, and you're gonna send them out to, bro. This is a great fucking podcast. I'm gonna chop these joints up, and you're gonna share them. You're gonna tag people. Hey, this is gonna get you your speaking engagements, bro. This conversation, I don't know. Do you have these type of conversations, like when you're?
Not in like a podcast form. This is only my second podcast, and that one wasn't even a conversation. He just made me talk the whole time. Like it wasn't a good. It wasn't conversation. It was like the YBT podcast. This is legit. I like this.
See, hey, okay.
He's trying to put you on.
Baby, hey, I got you though. More people need to hear this story.
Yeah, and the thing is that we knew that this was gonna happen. Like,
Exactly.
I need to get to a point where I'm talking about speaking to where I'm speaking now.
Yeah, bro.
But I finna lead you into that.
Yeah,
We finna
yeah.
Get you. I finna set you right.
Yeah, bro, but I would say Ben's been talking about you. I was like, because me, I was like, yo, we're gonna get A on, whatever, because he was supposed to. And he been fighting for you, like, bro, I just feel like, because Ben, we had a conversation about you the other day, and it made me, I was like, yeah, we need him.
Yeah.
We need him on that joint. You're right.
We need some more wine though.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a little pause. All right. So yeah, Charlemagne, Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. It's the book.
I need to tag him in this.
And this is a great book. I'll definitely pass on. Evan got first dibs right now. But I came to this last chapter, and this was really set in stone for me. I was like, I gotta have Emeka on, because this is perfect for him. And this part of it is called Everyone is Privileged. And this is what it says. No matter what sort of struggles you face, you still possess a unique privilege. Do you have arms and legs? Good. Well, then you have limb privilege. You have an advantage over the Iraqi vet who lost his and is trying to learn how to walk on bionic legs. Or the guy who lost his arms and had to figure out how to roll a blunt with his toes. You have tremendous privilege over people in those situations, so make the most of it. Do you feel relatively healthy today? Good, then you have health privilege. You got an advantage over the high school teacher who has cancer, who has to receive chemotherapy after school every day and spends her nights throwing up, only to get back up the next morning and go to her class. Or the fireman who got ALS and is now confined to a wheelchair, wasting away in front of his wife and kids until the disease finally does him in. You might be unemployed, you might be divorced, you might have been fired from your dream job, you might be 30 pounds overweight and feeling crap about yourself, but man, if you woke up today feeling healthy, you got incredible health privilege over that teacher and that fireman. Please capitalize on that privilege. And so he was just getting down to like, but despite all those things, I simply can't grasp the concept of someone being better than me because of the color of their skin, their position, or status in life. I truly believe, as the subtitle of this book states, that opportunity comes to those who create it. And whenever I read that, I was just like, that's a Mecca right there. Because somehow, regardless of your situation, regardless of what happened to you, and for me, I think it's something tremendous happened to you. And for you, I think you like, hey, I worked through it.
Yeah.
I'm built for this. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, most people don't even do the small things when they got legs, when they got arms. And somehow you come out of here swinging and creating a job for yourself, being an entrepreneur, creating speaking engagements from an accident. Like, and it fully changed you. Like, most people would be like, man, Emeka got an accident. He can chill out for the rest of his life. He's down and out. I don't know if you were deep into education, if you were deep into schoolwork. So it's just like, man, he had the brains for this. He's an African American. he's disabled. And all these things are stacking against you, but somehow you've been like, you know what? I'm still gonna overcome that. I'm still gonna rise above that. I'm not gonna allow myself to just be a wheelchair person anymore. Yeah. I'm not gonna identify with what it looks like. Like, I'm gonna push my mind further now, because it's either I have to, or I don't know what caused you to be like, you know what, I'm still gonna rise above this. Regardless of, I'm not playing football at Missouri anymore. I might not be going to the NFL for my dreams. All these things stacked against you, and your dreams shattered, but you're like, I'm still gonna make some great ass lemonade out of this.
Man.
I'm gonna make margaritas, make cocktails.
Put a little sugar on the rim.
A little salt, baby. A little salt.
My bad. You a salt guy. Okay.
Man, you're right. And what he said in that book was spot on about privilege. That's a privileged conversation that I love having, because I'm in school right now with human relations, so we do a lot of talking about the isms, ageism, sexism, racism, and that word privilege is a hot topic,
Yeah.
And so, again, I do feel like myself, I am very privileged. I think that, again, like he said, I think we are all very privileged. And so when people, shy away from that privilege word and they feel like it's an attack, It's not an attack, because people think that privilege attacks their merit. People think that if you say privilege, it means you think that they didn't work for what they have. That's not, and no one is saying that. Everyone, you know, when you use the word privilege only highlights the fact that you have certain things that other people don't have.
You have access to opportunities that other people don't have.
And if you are big enough to realize that we all in some way, shape, or form have a certain level of privilege, for everyone that listens to this that's living in America, you did not wake up in a war-torn city like Syria.
Yeah.
That is privilege. That is locational privilege. Yeah. You know, I was born in this country, and you know, wasn't born to, you know, mom and dad in North Korea. You know, I'm very privileged of that. And we can come back to that. So let me go back to, yes, you are absolutely correct in the sense of just not wanting to be stopped by what happened to me, because again, it did take just taking one step at a time, because I do believe that action produces traction. And so there were days where I woke up and just did not want to do anything. Like, I don't want to do therapy right now. I don't want to go down there and strain and because I'm feeling like everything I'm doing is failure. And there were days where I woke up with that on my mind, but it's just like, let's go do this thing. But I'm going to go do it. And I think that a lot of people got to get past the initial pain of doing things, because it's just like with anything, there's always growing pains. But at the end of that, you do grow. And the thing is this, you can change without growing, but you cannot grow without changing. And so people have to realize that, you know, if you want to go to that next level, there is a transformation that needs to take place. And that is that self-awareness part that I'm telling you about. It's like, okay, I know where I'm at, and where I'm at is not where I want to be. Like, I'm not okay with being, with not living a life that I want. I'm not okay with, you know, people not looking at me and feeling proud. I'm not okay with watching everyone that I love pass me by. So honestly, I got tired. Like I got tired of being tired. Like I'm not about to die. Take my legs, take my hands. Life will not take my heart and will not take my spirit. And so honestly, it was just getting to a place of, at the end of the day, realizing that what I have in this world and who I am in this world ultimately comes down to me. It comes down to my decision, because privilege only gets you so far. It don't get you to the promised land. Like, you have to do something. Yeah. And so whether it started with my going to work out at the gym, and then with those kids, like we were talking about that book, the difference between some people showing up. Yep. And it's just showing up for my own life. And honestly, it was realizing that I had so many people showing up in my own life. It was time for me to show up in mine, because I've got nurses that are coming in here to wipe my butt, change my leg bag, wash me up, get me dressed. My dad is putting shoes on me and putting pants on me. You got bus drivers that are showing up to my door to pick me up and go. So many people who are showing up in their life and showing up in mine for me not to show up. Well, what does that even mean if I'm not showing up in my life when I got all these people showing up for me? Yeah. And so, sometimes people think that they have to have the whole picture before they start moving, and that's not true. You don't need to have the whole picture. You just got to take a step. And the thing is this: you got to be okay with getting lost, because what you'll do is you'll find that, all right, I've gone out on this journey. This is not where I wanted to be, but now I know. Now I know where I was, not where I want to be. Where I am is not where I want to be. Let me find a new journey, a new path. Yeah.
Momentum.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is this: who doesn't get out? If I'm running in a race and, like I said, like I get lost or something like that, I don't feel like I'm just gonna just up and I'm over with this race. I've already created momentum. My blood is pumping. I'm sweating. I'm juiced. Let me get on the right path and let's go.
Yeah.
So let me tell you all a little bit about hope, because I'm studying hope right now in school. And this guy, Charles Snyder, came up with a theory of hope that I think will best explain my life and anyone out there listening to this. So in his theory of hope, he has hope comprised of three things: goals, pathways, and agency, personal agency. So goals meaning you have to have a goal that's somewhat attainable, pathways to achieve that goal, and personal agency meaning the grit, the will to get to it. And so we talk about goals, and he says, so you might be a person of high hope when your goals are right, your pathways can reach them, and your agency is right on point. You are a person of high hope. So if I feel like if my goal is to become a millionaire, my job is, getting me on that path there, and I'm content with, okay, if it's gonna take me 15 years or 20 years to get there, I'm high on hope. I'm very hopeful that I'm gonna be a millionaire one day.
Yeah.
But if my goal is to be a millionaire and I don't have a job and I don't have the agency to find a job, I'm gonna be a person low on hope. Like, I'm not that hopeful that I can be a millionaire.
Yep.
Or let's say I'm a person that wants to be somebody, and my pathway to doing that is playing football. What happens when you break your neck on a football field? Your pathways get shut. You don't have any agency. You're a person of low hope. And I'll tell you, I had my moments of low hope, but also what I've read in studies is that people of high hope are people that are able to create multiple pathways. So it's just like anything you've ever read about investing. It's like you don't just put everything into one basket. You diversify. If we've been taught as human beings is to adapt and improvise. So if I want to become a millionaire, my pathway is to sell t-shirts, and I'm ready to do that. If my t-shirt company doesn't work, all right, well, let me create another pathway. All right, let me sell coffee. Let me sell hats. Let me go work for this company. If I am someone that's able to create multiple pathways, then I'm gonna be a person that's high on hope because I'm all after that goal. So what a lot of people also do is a lot of people misplace goals and pathways. So you might be someone that you're saying that your goal is to be a millionaire. And so really, and when at the end of your day, your real goal is that you want to use the money. You want to be a person that funds nonprofits.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So being a millionaire is just a pathway to a bigger goal, but you've kind of switched them up. Yeah. And so you find yourself when you don't become if you're not a millionaire, you're like all depressed and stuff. It's like, wait a minute, why are you depressed?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't do this because I want to do this. It's like, oh wait, okay, stop there. You're depressed because you're not a millionaire because of what? Because I want to use that millions to do this. All right, well that's your goal. The millionaire is your pathway. Just change your pathway. You can do your ultimate goal with a different pathway. And so it's all about because I'm reading as a study. I see life through this equation, and when I'm talking to people, I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to find out what is their actual goal and what if they substitute as a pathway, and is this a pathway problem? Is this a goal problem, or is it an agency problem? Is it just that this person hasn't found the wherewithal within themselves to do it? So do we need to do work with resiliency training? Do we need to do work with your spirituality, your family?
Yeah.
Or do we need to do work with like your goals? Like if you're 4'2" and your goal is to be an NBA player, we need to readjust your goals. Like let's change. Like you want to do basketball, cool. Let's change it up. Like if it's pathways, that's why I'm really big on social justice, because I do believe that it is my duty to be involved in social justice to help people create pathways.
Yeah.
Like I'm around people with disabilities all the time, and there's not a lot of pathways to success for people. And it's not that they don't have goals or they don't have the grit. It's just that there are no ways for them to get stuff done due to laws and due to how things are set up. And so I feel like it is my obligation to be involved in the community, to facilitate change and to help create those pathways for people that can't create them for themselves. So this hope theory is definitely something that I'm very engaged in and wanting to use in a powerful way to help change people and communities.
Awesome. So give me a testimony of somebody who you're helping out right now. Do you have anybody who's out right now?
Let me see.
Who's the Mecca Part 2, living their own lives?
I can talk about my man, Matthew Lurkey.
Yeah.
And so this is a guy that someone randomly connected us on Facebook. Someone commented his name, commented my name, and said, hey, I think there's a guy you need to meet. And we sat down, we had coffee one day, and he was telling me his story, and it was deep. Just a lot of hurt there with family, a lot of stuff that would seem unforgivable, you know. And he's an open book, so he would tell everyone his stuff. But he, you know, with his wife, with his kids, but there's a guy as well who has a heart to serve people, who wants to just make a difference. And sometimes you think that you're going to help someone when the only thing you're doing is giving them an opportunity to help you, to be a blessing to you. And so he was telling me how he wanted to do more speaking and how he wanted to, you know, build his business. So he's asking me questions. I'm like, man, I'm not the guru yet. You know, I'm still working on it. He's like, all right, well, let me help you out. Let me follow you. You know, things. I'm like, all right, you can follow me, do whatever. And you know, he came to one speaking thing. I invited him to something else, and now he's become my go-to guy for whenever I have a speaking gig and I need something. I know that I can call on him, and I know that he's ready to drop everything at a dime. Wow. But it's helping him, like it is very mutualistic, because I learned so much by watching how selfless and how much he pours into helping and serving. It's just like, whatever you need, let me know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been a while. Like there's, I mean, you know, we got a lot of people that are like that are around us that they say it, but I don't know if you really know that they're about it. And this guy's like he is about it. And so I'm learning from him that I need to take my relationships up to another level. And I do feel like what he is learning from me is just the ins and outs of what it takes to do speaking. Like it's not, you know, it takes more than just knowing how to talk, and I'm learning that too. And so when you're trying to teach something, it also makes you pay more attention, because it's like, okay, do I really know what I'm talking about? I need to get the, you know. So Matt would be someone that I would say is someone that I'm not helping, but we are helping each other.
And is he disabled as well?
No, he is. You know, well, I mean, you know, he's cool.
Yeah.
But he's had his own physical issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's cool. He's good. Yeah. He's two-footed.
Yeah.
He's on his feet. I don't even know this word.
So, like, what was your first speaking engagement? How did you even get into speaking? Like, what was the turning point there?
That's a good question.
And how did you even turn this into is this like your business now? Is to do speaking engagements, right?
That's a good question, because my first, I think, really what it was when I started working with the youth, I had a small group that I taught every Sunday night for 3 years. And it was crazy because you have to come up with a lesson plan every week. And I'm talking to these boys and I'm telling them about life and I'm telling them about how to use wisdom in certain situations. And that, in doing that, people were just like, oh yeah, you've done so much for my son, things like that. I was invited to go out to a church in Skytook and speak, and I think that was my first speaking gig. And then they had given me a love offering. It was about $300, and that was the first time that someone had given me money to speak. And then someone's like, you could do this. You could, you're a pretty good speaker, and I'd spoken maybe a couple more times after that. And then I started working for the United Way. That is when my speaking really took off, because they had asked me about doing like 5 to 10 minute presentations to different companies, and I was like, yeah, I'm totally comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with being in front of people. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
I don't think they realized just how great of a pairing it was going to be. I don't think I realized, because you're asking, like, they are used to just having like these kids or these people come in and share a timid story. Like, you just asked like an aspiring motivational speaker to come in and talk to people and inspire them to, give money.
Yeah.
The first couple of things I did for them, like, it was crazy because they could tangibly calculate my impact, because it's, okay, company gave $25,000 last year, nothing's changed. We bring Emeka in, he speaks, company gives $50,000 this year. Like, can tangibly calculate that.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, hey man, like, so they started, hey, can you come speak at this place, you come speak at that place. So we rocking and rolling, and we ended up raising the most money they'd ever raised.
Wow.
25 million in the community. And
25
then
million?
25 point something million.
In how many years?
In how many years?
Yeah.
My dude, in 3 months.
Oh my God. Oh man.
Did they slide you a check?
Emeka.
I love United Way.
Make a slid on that question.
We've helped out United Way multiple times.
Yeah.
No.
I just had to ask.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to get into your wallet, but
So the first year was like was volunteer. Then the second year, they brought me in. The second year they brought me in, but they paid me like a salary. It was they paid me like hourly, basically. It wasn't nothing, $15 an hour, but like I'm working, and I'm getting all this. So for me, it was like, okay, this is great exposure for me, because I'm now creating contact with these companies, and I'm creating contact with these people, and I believe in the United Way, because again, the gym that I go to is United Way. They literally saved my life. And so I'm able to talk passionately about it, because it's something that is, that means something to me. I ended up doing, over the span of 2 years, which would be about 6 months, 8 months, I've done 140 odd presentations for different companies. And so that really began to get me on people used to always say, like, hey man, you're a great speaker. Hey, you got to come back. There are people to this day that we go out, like I can go out and go eat, and people will still come up and like, hey man, like you spoke in my company 2 years ago. Like I just wanted to say I appreciate it. Totally remember you. Yeah. And that was what led me to go down the path. Like, okay, there's power in the tongue. Yeah. And so let me not, minimize the gift that God has given me. Yeah. Now it's time to just hone it and hone my craft and make it better. And so I started to speak at schools, and right now, if you go online, everything about me says school assembly speaker, because I do believe that right now the youth listen to me, whether it's because of my hair, whether it's because of how I talk, whether it's because of the chair. I've got their attention, and I need to maximize that in the time that they are still listening, because the youth are going to change this world. And so if I can help instill in them that you are stronger than what you think and that you can make a difference through one person, I do feel like I'm on my way to making a better place. Everyone has their own audience. Like Tony Robbins is going to speak to Tony Robbins people. Eric Thomas is going to speak to Eric Thomas people. Gary Vee is going to speak to Gary Vee's people. I also have my own audience, so there are people out there that I can reach that they can't reach. And so it is my responsibility to do the best that I can with what I've got, because I can't let those people slip through the cracks. Just like, same with y'all. Like everybody, we all have our own people that we're supposed to reach in this world. And it's our responsibility to do the best of what we got.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that every single day.
I know you said you got a meeting at 1 o'clock that you got to go to?
Yeah.
Okay. So we probably got like 30 more minutes till 1 o'clock. How much time do we need to give you?
All right, we're good. 20.
20 minutes? All right, so we got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
It's crazy, once again, going back to United Way being 25.3 million, and like you had your example of being a millionaire, but also giving back to nonprofits. Like, that's a beautiful impact to say, hey, I helped out this United Way who got this money.
I'm responsible for millions of dollars.
Yeah. And,
Literally.
And that money is helping other people out, correct?
Yeah,
Like, that's what United Way does.
Yeah.
And on top of it now, like, even like, once again, you talk about Gary Vee having an audience, Tony Robbins having an audience, and even you have an audience, but maybe it's not at the grander scale of what Tony Robbins is, but you're not belittling your position as an influencer.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, these high school kids need to hear your voice. They're not going to listen to Tony Robbins. They're not going to hear Gary Vee. Gary Vee is not coming down here to Tulsa, or Tony Robbins coming down to Tulsa to speak to any high school students. So what's the closest in their proximity? And the best thing is you right now.
So it's funny that you use the word influence there, because I speak to them about influence. I speak to one of my key notes is identity, influence, impact. And so when I talk about influence being leadership. John Maxwell defines leadership as influence. And so when I'm speaking to a high schooler, I'm telling them, do you feel like you're a leader? And you'd be surprised by how many hands do not go up. I might have 1 or 2 hands go up, and I say, like, so how many of you guys think that you're not a leader? Hands go up everywhere. And so I get it, because what they have been conditioned to thinking is that leadership is a position. So they think that until I become, teacher, boss, officer, manager, that I'm not a leader. And so my attempt is to break down that traditional way of thinking, to think that influence is leadership. So you carry influence with everyone that comes in contact with you. Whether you have siblings, you have friends, like none of us are watching our favorite show because we so happen to find it. For most part, someone was like, hey, man, you need to check out Walking Dead. You need to check out this show. Like, you need to check out this music. And it was like, okay, let me check it out. Oh, that is dope, They're not in the school that they're in because of you didn't pick your school at 13. Your parents put you in school. And so they have influence over you. And so it is all about realizing that the influence that I carry, recognizing that I carry influence, and recognizing that I can be a difference maker to a person today. Whether that person is one of my classmates, that person is my teacher, that person is a cashier at the grocery store. Like, you have a way of influencing that person and leading that person to something great, something positive. I say that we are all leaders. The only thing is you're either a good leader or a bad leader, depending on what you're influencing a person to do. So it's big. So I've got to use my influence in the manner that I use. And that's the reason why I can't necessarily stay quiet about certain issues that irk me the wrong way. That's why I'm really big about social justice, and I'm really big about bringing people in and loving them, because if you're watching me, I want you to love like I love. I don't want you to just overcome adversity like I overcome adversity, but I also want you to see people like I see people. I want you to give people a chance. I want you to be forgiving. I want you to do a lot of things. So I got to start, I start there with wanting to be those things so that I can influence other people to do those things as well.
Bro, you're not like most people in general, but especially, and I guess I can't speak to that community, but even people who share the similar circumstances that you do, not all of them are speaking out and talking to kids and influencing and impacting people. So you're in a very small niche, even in that sense. But so it's hard. It would seem on the surface that it would be hard for you to relate to a lot of people who are going through what you're going through, because you're this super, like this ultra
Upbeat.
positive, upbeat. I can take this on. Not something small, but what has happened to you has been, it's life changing. It's life altering. So, what are some of the issues that you go through? Like, when do you get down? Like, what bothers you? What impacts you negatively? Because it doesn't seem like much does. You said you don't necessarily move off of emotions, and I see that, and you're always upbeat. But what is something that people can say? Okay, because in connecting, in wanting to connect more, like, people want to know that you're not superhuman, because on the surface you seem to be that.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm just like anyone. I don't like when bad things happen to the people around me. I don't like when, like, I don't like, the things that grieve me are when people feel like they don't have what it takes. When people feel like the world it's too much. I have my own issues when it comes to just always trying to control my own emotions of anger going up or down. I mean, defying the odds begins with defying myself at times. And so, recent example, I missed my flight on my way back here on Monday. And I don't think I've ever been I hadn't been that mad in so long. But what I've done lately is put a lot of systems in place to try not to get outside outside of my lane. So again, this is going to sound bad because I know I am not superhuman at all, but it requires doing a lot of front end work so I don't know whether I have protected myself or calloused myself.
Yep.
Because like driving in a lane, what I have done is I've set up soft barriers, medium barriers, and hard barriers. So it's like there are the lines that have told me like, okay, I don't want to go there. And then there's the that lets me know that I'm outside. And then there's the hard barriers. It's like, all right, brother, look, you didn't
listen to the lines. You didn't listen to the bumps. So I'm gonna have to.
So for me, it's like, okay, when I'm having a bad day, like I have a system in place to get back on track. So it's like, all right, like let me look for some motivation somewhere. Let me try to find something. Every hour on the hour, I will try to find something that will, pick me back up.
Yeah.
I will. So it's step one, look for a motivational video or motivation. Step two, do something for someone else. So like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go buy the person's drink behind me in the thing.
Yeah.
Step three, if that doesn't work, so I have I try all those things every hour on the hour until 7:30. 7:30 is my cutoff time. Like I don't do any, if it's 7:30 has arrived, if I got plans after that, I'm not going out. Like the universe has told me, this ain't your day, bro. Like don't do it. Shut it down, watch something on Netflix, and then the next day I plan to have something, whether it's like something that I'm craving, a sweet Chinese food, something I'm craving. Yeah. I plan to have the next day to guarantee that I'm not having 2 bad days in a row. Wow. So these are systems that I have in place to keep from getting way outside there. Now
I want to stop you only because it's 12:41 right now, and I don't want you to be on color people time at this high school place.
It ain't a high school dude. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
promise we're gonna have you back on. Mecca. I got tons of questions. I want to hear more about exactly what you're about to say, but I don't want you running late. And
We're just wetting y'all's palate, that's all.
And everybody already see that we black over here, so sometimes we are late to things. So I'm trying my best to help you out, brother.
Young black and late.
Hey, I appreciate it.
All right, brother. So we done. Thank
Yeah.
you, Emeka. Let's
Till
get it.
next
Man,
time.
Yeah, absolutely. Till next time, man. We'll holler at y'all.
Peace.